Welcome to Family Focus, a program produced by Family Service Association. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Mike Moran, and we have a great combination of the old and the new. The old in the sense that we have often featured the United Way of Greater Fall River on our program, and our dear friend Bob Horn actually over the years made 10 appearances on our program since it first went on the air in 2006. And well, Bob is enjoying retirement, and one of the first things we wanted to do right out of the box after Bob said his goodbyes to all his friends and colleagues was to bring on the person who would succeed him in the position as Executive Director of the United Way of Greater Fall River, and we have that great honor today, and we introduce to our audience for the very first time, hopefully the first of many, Kimberly Smith, who is here. Kim, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's certainly an honor.
Well, you have a great story to tell, not only about the United Way, but about other things that you have done and are doing in your career. So this is where we get to know you for the first time.
A little bit about me, right?
Yeah, a little bit about you. I once interviewed someone on the program, and they said to me, you would like me to talk about my favorite subject, me. And well, we do want to talk about you. We do want to get to know you because a lot of people know you in the community from the various hats that you wear. But first of all, congratulations on being the Executive Director of the United Way.
Thank you, Mike.
It comes at the end, not at the end, not even nearly the end, but it comes as the latest in a number of interesting careers that you've had over time. So let's get to know Kimberly Smith and how, Kim, you got to be where you are right now.
Thank you. So I've often said that my stars have aligned actually winding up here at the United Way and the way the life's path takes us. But I'm born and raised in Fall River. You know this, of course, but not everybody does. Born and raised in Fall River. I still live here with my family and very committed to our community and giving back in a variety of ways. I started off my career as a funeral director.
Okay. Now, I'm going to stop you right there. And you and I have had this conversation privately. And in fact, I'm going to remind you, in case you don't remember, it was up at the Stop and Shop Distribution Center when we were both there for
yes, indeed.
The benefits fair, health fair that is held annually for the employees in the fall. And that's when I get to have the conversation with you, because I had met you several times prior to that over the years, but you started to tell me about how it is that you entered into the world of funeral service, and it's a fascinating story. Just share that with us if you could.
Sure. So it's not something I was born into, or what they call FDKs, funeral director kids. Right. Something I sort of really followed a calling to. I went through school, and I went to Providence College. I got a degree in humanities.
Go Friars.
Go Friars, right? Had a social work minor, so kind of following that path. Sure. And out of college, sort of got a position that I said, no, I don't like this so much. And I had experienced, my grandmother had Alzheimer's back in the day. We're talking almost 30 years ago now. Before there was many books. There was one book called, I think it was The 25-Hour Day. Do you remember that one?
Sure.
And she passed away when I was a junior in college, and I wasn't really excited or happy about the experience that we had, and it was then that sort of that calling started.
With the funeral home.
Yeah. Not to say anything disparaging, but it just didn't, I don't know, it just wasn't a fulfilling and positive experience. And so always in the back of my mind, and after I got out of college and sort of wasn't really happy with where I was going, I said, you know what, I'm going to follow that. I'm going to go back to school. And so I did. All my credits transferred except for those that were in particular to funeral service.
Sure.
And I got a job at Waring Sullivan Funeral Home. So I did my internship while I was going to school.
Wow.
And then they kept me. Yeah. I guess I did okay. So they kept me, and about 23 years later, I then emerged to look for a different career. So a wonderful opportunity, and certainly it's a very fulfilling career path. You're helping people at their most vulnerable times and hopefully trying to get them through a process in the best way possible.
And I think with certain specific professions, it's often been said, in fact, I was personally involved in a conversation with some people earlier this week, and they were talking about the field that they were in, working in the social service field. They were like colleagues at another agency, and are very much intimately involved with the personal care of folks with developmental disabilities. And in talking with them, they said, you know, we know this work isn't for everyone. Not everyone can do this. And I'm sure that there might have been more than a few conversations that you had along the way when you were pursuing that career track where you said the very same thing. Not everybody's cut out to do this kind of work.
Absolutely. I think that sometimes people are, you know, they look at the nice, well-kept homes, the people in suits,
Sure.
the nice cars and so forth, and they have you know, a sort of an image, I guess, of what it's supposed to be. And
Right.
perhaps that's accurate to a certain degree because that's what's supposed to happen on the outside. But behind the scenes, there's so much that goes into making sure that this experience is flawless and that every family feels like they're the only family being cared for at that very
Right,
moment, cradled in your hands, because you don't have an opportunity to do it over. There are no do-overs in funeral service.
This is an oddball comparison, but it's like the band at the wedding.
Right.
In that, you know, I've worked with musicians who said, oh, we've done hundreds of weddings. Yeah, but the one you're doing today, that's their wedding.
Correct, yes.
And, you know, so it's an okay comparison?
Actually, it's a very relevant comparison and one we've often used, that weddings and funerals are not all that different.
Right.
However, when you look at planning,
There's
you know,
got to be a punchline there.
No,
so I'm
it's
not going.
well, you know,
I'm not going.
put the fun back in funeral. We do have a sense of humor, you have to. But
I'm sure you do.
You know, it's more along the lines of planning. People take months or years to plan a wedding, but they don't for a funeral. That's the
Sure.
event that's going to happen to all of us, no matter
Right,
what. Yet there are such similarities, and we do it in 2 days or 3 days, depending on your culture and your
Sure.
rituals and your practices. But think about it. You have the people to be celebrated, bride and groom or decedent. You've got the church or the facility where the celebration is going to take place. You've got that here. You've got vehicles, limousines. You've got limousines.
I
You've
hadn't
got
even thought about it that
You've
carefully.
got flowers. You've got
yeah.
flowers. You've got music, band, tradition. You've got music, vocalists, you know, etc.
Sure.
You've got the reception. You've got the funeral repasts. What you're going to wear. I mean, it's all. There are so many similarities.
Right. Wow.
Right? It's
That's
really
something to
kind of,
think about.
it's eye-opening, and yet we don't talk about, everybody talks about the wedding. How's it going? Did you find the dress? Are you bridezilla? Blah, blah. But we don't really talk about that in the
No.
funeral industry because it's a sad subject, and people are often, you know, they approach it with trepidation. I don't want to upset you, but it's a conversation that really should and has to be had because you want that to be meaningful for the survivors.
Well, and you know, let me make another strange comparison because just hearing you say that makes me understand how you were one of those people cut out for that. I can get it just from your level of awareness of all of these moving parts and how they have to be done in a dignified and respectful way. And in your current position, not to jump too quickly to that,
Sure,
but
sure.
there's a lot of that same kind of dynamic at play.
There is, and it's a lot about all the moving pieces, making sure they're working well together. Communication is key to make sure that we're not missing any beats and, you know, everybody's involved.
right.
Just bringing players together that might not ordinarily have thought about each other
Sure.
and how we can work in different ways to make things better and so forth. You know, it's all about your team and making sure that the strength of your team is reflected in the work that you do in the community. And there are a lot of parallels with the people I've encountered along the way, you know, working in the funeral industry in the South Coast, covered New Bedford to Fall River and beyond, you know, but also in some of the volunteer work with the Rotary Club of Fall River.
Well, and I wanted to get to that because you're mentioning it kind of in passing, but your role in the Rotary Club of Fall River is a fairly prominent one.
Well, it's coming to a close.
You've been president during this past
I
year.
have been president during this past year. It's a one-year term, so I'm the president 2018-2019. And it's a fiscal year, so we start in June and go through July 1 to June 30. And you kind of take the reins, but you have a full club behind you to really support and encourage and strengthen all of the efforts that are out there in the community. And just a lot of people and players are those that I'm now encountering on a different level at the United Way.
How do you, and you know, it's sort of like local, you know, they always say, give a job to a busy person. And we've had a lot of busy people that are sitting in the chair where you're sitting right now that have been on our program. And you wonder sometimes, where do they find the time? Where do they find the energy? The talent may be something they develop, but is somewhat innate. So that is an easier question to answer. But how do you balance? Oh, and we haven't even mentioned everything that you're involved in.
Oh,
but
my
I mean,
goodness,
as president of the Rotary Club, you've taken on a new job. It's still relatively new as executive director of the United Way. Did you, you know, at some point in your quiet time say, what have I done here? What have I taken on?
Yeah, I think we all ask ourselves that question at one point or another. But it's just about really sometimes slowing down to speed up and kind of taking a step back, taking a breath, and really evaluating and going back to your to-do list every day. Once you check it off, it doesn't mean it's over. It's a rewrite every single day, and repositioning priorities and just trying to. I think maybe for me the biggest struggle or challenge with it is reaching out to other people. Ask for help, because people are more than willing to give it to you, or or ask for direction and ask for communication, clarification as you're going through these things and trying to balance all those balls that are in the air. To figure out, okay, today what is my focus? What do I need to get done? Who needs to be involved? Who needs to come to the table? And how are we going to either reposition things or make sure we meet deadlines or exceed expectations, things like that.
And I'm sure that, in fact, I know that a lot of the people that you encounter along the way in your role with Rotary, you're going to be dealing with in your role as the United Way.
Absolutely.
And organizations don't refer to organizations; people refer to people.
Right.
So not that it's an entirely similar, interchangeable group of people, but there's a lot of overlap, I would think, between the folks that you deal with, not only in the agencies, but certainly the incredible business community that helps to sustain the United Way in the way that it does, and the Rotary Club that has a lot of those same community leaders that are wearing their Rotary hat.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of parallels. There's a lot of overlap, and just kind of identifying how we can best work together in the different hats that we're wearing at the time, and when do our hats cross? And I think what I'm realizing, or perhaps realized it in the past, but now have an opportunity to potentially impact, is breaking down the silos of us working alone and figuring out, hey, you're doing that, and we want to either make it stronger or join on board with you, or we know somebody else is doing it too. Let's bring the two of you together and create a bigger impact for our community. And we can sort of look at that as the United Way with that bigger lens to say, now we know all these different players that either were in Rotary or not, or however the community comes together, the business community, different corporations and individuals, bringing them all together to say, let's focus on a project and getting involved in coalitions, things like that. So yeah, it's pretty cool, actually.
It is, and we're going to talk more about all of the things that you bring to the table in your role as Executive Director of the United Way. We're going to first take a short time out and pause for a message, and we'll come back and talk more with our guest, Kimberly Smith. You're watching Family Focus, and we're so glad that you are. Welcome to summer. Here we are in the month of June. We'll take a short time out and be back with more of the program. Please stay there.
Hi, I'm Carol Nagel, President and CEO of Family Service Association. A lot has changed since the day when our agency began its long journey of providing services to our community. In the beginning, our mission was a simple one: to provide caring and helpful services designed to improve the lives of the individuals and families who live and work here. And while the programs we provide have changed over the years, and the problems facing the community have become more challenging, Family Service is still here 125 years later to answer the call. As we look to the future, we'll continue to work together with our many community partners and to find new and better ways to bring our services to those who need them. Whether it's providing a warm, welcoming learning environment for preschool children, offering professional counseling, or helping elders maintain their good health and independence, Family Service remains committed to the spirit of that very same mission of service that guided us when we took those few steps in 1888. Please visit our website and learn more about our agency, its programs, and our long history of service to the community.
Thank you, Carol. And if you do visit that website, that web address of frfsa.org, one of the tabs at the top of the page says Agency Affiliations. And if you click on that, it'll get you to a number of organizations, including a direct link to the United Way of Greater Fall River Family Service Association, being a proud member agency of the United Way of Greater Fall River. And the executive director of that organization is with us. We'll reintroduce once again Kimberly Smith, who's here and talking about her relatively new role. But before we get to that, you and I have another thing in common, which is that we have a mutual friend, a fellow named Happy Hector Gauthier.
We do.
Who was a partner of mine and I of his in the world of local radio for a lot of years. And that's one of the other hats that you wear, because
Right.
you and he share the studio a couple of times a week. And tell us about that experience. How did that come to be?
That's fun. So Heck, of course, has the Breakfast Club in the mornings
It's
from
1480 AM WSAR.
Yes, Monday through Friday. The Breakfast Club is from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Now, I'm not an early riser, so I'm not the 5 a.m. crew, but I get there around 7:30, 3 days a week, and really just play with Heck in the field of the radio land. You know, he takes you to the water, and you follow along, take a drink now and then. I do the traffic, and sometimes tell a joke or two. And we do, you know, the impossible question, all those fun things. Although when I'm there, it's the Kim possible question.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
See, he never had anything that was cleverly, you know, customized for me when I was there
nothing with
for
Mike
27
or, you know,
years. Mike at the mic, or
Right.
No, I think we would both agree, and I know he's a fellow Rotarian, and he's a fantastic guy. And I wonder why we haven't brought him on the program.
Oh my goodness, wouldn't that be fun?
Just to embarrass him,
Right,
because I know all the stories behind the stories, and I'm
should
sure you
do
have a
that.
few too.
You know, he just celebrated his 52nd
Wedding anniversary. He and Maureen are just a great, great couple, and they're just dear friends, and we certainly wish them well, and hope
Absolutely.
that people will tune them in the morning, and you might even find Kimberly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fun because, so I started that about a year ago in August, and, you know, through the Rotary, of course, the connection was made, and he had some folks that were shifting, and the position opened, and he said, do you know anybody? And I said, let me think about it. Like a day or two later, I said, hey, I know someone.
Yeah.
Me, how about me? So it seems to be a good fit. We have a lot of fun, and people often say, oh, I recognize your laugh. That's when they make the connection.
giveaway.
Oh, it's Kim. Yeah.
That's a giveaway.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the United Way and this aspect of it. You joined the organization at a time when, and I can give this perspective as someone involved with the United Way as an employee of a member agency, and having attended a lot of the events that are United Way sponsored over the years. It seems like you got the whole thing down. There's a campaign that lasts a certain time, and it starts here and ends here. There are certain events that occur. There's the Community Impact Grant Program, which we're kind of in the middle of sorting that out now. And did you go in there and they said, well, this is kind of how it works, because everybody wants to put obviously their own stamp on it, their own approach. I'm guessing that a lot of those things will be maintained, and some new and innovative things that are going to come in, the
Sure.
creative side that you'll bring. Talk about that a little.
I think that's certainly a fair assessment of what's happening, what may have happened. Certainly there is a very well-oiled machine behind the scenes there at the United Way.
The structure of
the structure, the timeline. We have, really, it's to the credit of the staff, both former and current staff that have been there and really refined things over the years. So throughout the year, there's a process of things that happen. Our annual campaign, we run on a fiscal year, so that's July 1 to June 30th. And the campaign kicks off late August, so within the fiscal year, and it runs roughly until March. And our annual campaign is the way we raise funds to support our member agencies by bringing in collectively the caring people of our community, whether individuals, businesses, small business owners, corporations, and some foundations as well, together to really address and support the needs of our community that are really serviced by our member agencies doing the really important work out there in the field.
Well, and it's been said long ago that one of the things that is great about the United Way is that it's a way to give, if you are so inclined, and we hope that everybody watching is inclined to support their United Way. And we have audience in New Bedford and Fairhaven as well as here in the Greater Fall River area, and support the United Way there too. If you give to an organization, that means that there aren't 37 agencies that are knocking on your door, because they all have needs, they're all legitimate needs, and they fulfill a very important mission. But that's one of the ways in which giving to the United Way can sort of streamline that process in a really kind of positive way.
Great point, Mike. And certainly we sort of act as that umbrella fundraising organization so that you aren't getting the ask. Generous people tend to get asked all the time, so it's sort of that one ask.
Sure.
There's also a wonderful way to be able to have the participation of everyone if they want to give through employee giving campaigns. And so that's the way that works, is that you give through payroll deduction, and it's whether it's $1 a week or $10 a week, however much you can give. You give from the heart, but it's fairly painless because it's taken out of your paycheck, and
Sure.
you can claim it on your taxes. So it's just kind of an automatic thing. It makes the process easy and painless, but yet you're contributing to the greater impact. And our campaign, I should say, this year raised about $1.16 million. So it's
Wow.
nothing to sneeze at, that's for
Wow.
sure. But it's truly through the collective giving of our community as a whole.
And the thing about the United Way, you mentioned your staff, they are great people. I know them all, and it's a small staff.
I am one of 4. Small but mighty.
Yeah, and because people may get the impression that, oh, it's a big bureaucracy, and it's, no, and the money stays locally.
Every dollar stays local. So United Way is a national organization, but we all the local United Ways work for their local community.
Right.
Our footprint, Fall River, Somerset, Swansea, Westport, Little Compton, and Tiverton are part of us as well.
Rhode Island was generous in giving us
It gave us that,
two nearby communities.
Yeah, so it's our little greater Fall River area, kind of, people know that anyway, but that's our footprint, and so all of the money stays within our local community.
Right.
And yeah, we do have 4 staff, including myself. We have a finance director, our campaign manager, and our communications coordinator, and we work hard. We really try to step outside of our own boxes and help each other. We
Sure.
kind of have to when you need to have that cross training and
Right.
pick up the pieces and have each other's back. Really it's our volunteers, it's our agencies. We work together. You're our partner. We're not just you to us or us to you.
Right.
We partner together in getting out there and talking about how we work together and we impact the community.
Right.
So, yeah.
And it is a partnership, and I know it sounds kind of we're being very, very positive, but that's because it is very positive. And it has a positive impact on the community. What I would imagine, having not sat in your seat and worn your shoes, excuse me, the need in a community gets greater when things like the economy get worse.
Sure.
And so therefore the ability to raise money becomes more difficult at a time when the need is at its greatest.
Right.
And I'm thinking back, and those of us with a little institutional memory that remember when Quaker Fabric left the greater Fall River area. In its heyday, I'm told the numbers were something like 2,800 employees. That's 2,800 paychecks.
Correct.
And therefore, and to its everlasting credit, Quaker had a very strong commitment to the United Way.
They did, yes.
And so when they leave, it really impacts your ability to raise money and to do the payroll deduction and the corporate gift and the other kind of things that sustain the United Way over time. And the loss of a company like that means that the need for the services provided by the member agencies is likely to increase. We're not in that kind of a situation, and that's a little bit dated, but it makes the point of just how urgently needed the services of the Boys and Girls Club, and the Salvation Army. I'm going to leave them out.
The Samaritans, yeah, absolutely. Red Cross, we were very instrumental in the Four Winds fire relief efforts. We support the Red Cross, are one of our member agencies, and it's all local. It's local disaster relief.
Right,
so
right.
that's important to make sure folks are aware of that it's not the American Red Cross. on a national level. It's right here in our own backyard when we have disaster that
Sure.
strikes. So it's just, you know, one of those examples, and of course that's a more tragic example of the impact that fire
Well,
had.
let's give a real positive example. There's once a year, and we're in that period now where the United Way has its Community Impact Grant Program, which allows for member agencies, non-member agencies, the community at large, to come to the United Way and say, we'd love to do an innovative new program. We don't have the resources to do it now, but if we had a couple of $1,000, boy, could we do something great with an intergenerational program with kids and elders, you know, and there's an application process, and there's a review panel that reviews the community impact grants. And there it is. Suddenly, you know, organizations are told, congratulations, you can do this program thanks to the United Way.
Right, exactly. The Community Impact Grant Program allows, like you said, new and innovative programs to either get that seed money to get started,
Right.
or perhaps if they were 1 or 2 years in, to give them a little bit extra money to go to the next level and become maybe sustainable on their own. But looking for ways to address either emerging needs in the community or things that may be new and innovative ways to address challenges that have been around for a while that just don't seem to be maybe moving forward or in a way that they should. Just looking at things through a different lens. And so it gives an opportunity for people outside of our member agencies, the community at large, as you mentioned, to put in an application, which is reviewed by volunteers from our community. So it's a very thorough process.
Yeah. And a very fair process.
Very fair, absolutely. We give, this year we have, I believe it's $125,000 to give through
Wow.
community impact grants. Some of those are earmarked for specific areas of need,
Education,
like health,
services to
education,
elders, families.
youth care, things of that nature. But others are just sort of open to new and innovative ideas that you know, we maybe haven't heard of yet, and people are thinking in different ways to address needs of the community. So it's kind of fun.
Well,
actually.
it's a dynamic environment that you're in with those 3 other staff of yours and all those many businesses and volunteers that help the United Way. On behalf of one member agency, we want to say thank you and use the opportunity afforded us with this program to say congratulations. We're going to be working together hopefully for a long, long time. And hopefully you'll come back and do this program again.
Absolutely, I
You've
would
got a
love
record to beat of your predecessor. He did 10 shows.
10 appearances,
10,
yes.
you know.
So 1 down.
One down,
9
right.
to go.
Hopefully even more.
Yeah,
Thanks so much,
indeed.
Kimberly, for
Thanks for
doing
having
this.
me, Mike, once again.
We're very, very happy to have you, and we're very happy to have you tuned in to this edition of the program. Thank you so much for watching Family Focus, and thanks to our affiliate stations. You can check out the program in a whole variety of ways, including starting with the Family Service Association website, frfsa.org. You can watch the program there. You can Google us and watch it on our YouTube channel and on 6 different cable systems all around the South Coast area. Until next time, we say thank you very much for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.